Yo, 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 this is Committee Podcast coming live and direct. This is your boy, Adolphus underscore Savage or Love Killer Trey. Brought a couple friends with me. We got the usual suspects at Marcus Sniffles and at Jalen Muhammad. Say what's up, everybody.
What's up?
Hi.
All right, and of course, if you didn't know, Jalen Muhammad is also an affiliate of ours from the DBN Report. If you look on our SoundCloud, they're the ones that always do the numbers. Shout out to Atlanta Falcons Twitter holding it down. So we're going to get into
Hold
a
on a second.
cup.
Hold on a second. I'm pretty sure it's DBNR report. Okay, get it straight. If you want to shout us out, I want proper. I want
Okay,
proper
Come
I'm
on, come on,
credit.
clearly,
come on,
I'm
Adolphus.
clearly.
You know how these Falcons fans are. You know they're a little bit sensitive. You got to get everything
Yo,
correct with
yo,
them.
Sniffles. I'll deal with you later. All right.
But
Not right now.
DBN is
Let
Dirty
the man
Bird
finish.
Nation.
Let
Wait,
this man finish.
technically, I said the DBN report, so the report takes place for the R. But okay,
Don't worry about it. All
DBNR.
right.
Shout out to the
Thank you.
DBNR Dirty Bird Nation. Drop down, get your Falcon on, girl. You know how we do. Anyway, so we're gonna kick it off. Get things started today. Hope everybody's having a wonderful weekend. So I think first we're gonna get into Vince Staples and his GoFundMe retirement fund. What's everybody's thoughts on that?
Well, if you haven't heard, Vince Staples dropped a like a little video on Twitter saying that I guess people were having issues with his live shows and how he was performing and the lack of energy. So basically, what he did is he put up a GoFundMe account for $2 million, and he was basically saying like, "Hey, if you guys want me to go away, give me $2 million." You know what I'm saying? He said he'd use that $2 million to move to Palmdale. He'd buy a Honda. He'd get a year's supply of soup for the homies locked down, and he would buy a puppy. And essentially, he's saying for $2 million, Vince Staples will go away completely. No music, no interviews, no Twitter, no TV, no nothing. He would just go away completely. And he said, if you guys really want me gone, then give me the money. Fund my lifestyle or get off my dick, basically. So I didn't know if y'all had any thoughts about that, about what he's doing out here.
He's the goat.
All I want to say is, if anybody wants to shut me up permanently, if y'all just want to shoot your boy $20,000, I'll go away. It's like the same thing on my level.
Yeah,
But
I feel like MAGA Twitter would certainly raise enough money to get you out the paint.
yeah, I think they would. For what Vince Staples doing, I think it's really funny. I mean, but it's true though. Like, I've never been to one of his live performances, but I know, like, with some of the artists that I've been to, I'll just speak of Kanye West. Like, man, his shows are amazing. Lots of energy. Like, you're really feeling it. Even if you're not a fan, it makes you still want to go just to experience it. So it probably kind of sucked to go to a show that just lacks energy, you know?
Yeah, that is fair, but also Kanye West is Kanye West. You know what I'm saying? Like he's totally different when it comes to putting on a performance or putting on a show compared to, not saying that Vince Staples is bad or a bad live performer, but he doesn't have the money or the backing to put on the kind of show that Kanye West would put on. Now, I personally am a big fan of Vince Staples, and I think what he's doing is hilarious. Like, he's just out here like, hey, you hate me that much, then pay for me to go away. Like, I wish I had that I wish I'd have thought of something like that years ago, that if I was getting on people's nerves that bad. But it's a smart move. He actually he dropped a single called "Get the Fuck Off My Dick" like 2 days ago. I think the night of his GoFundMe page, he put that single out. But I think he's pretty much just trolling everybody at this point, which is great. He's doing a great job.
That's a smart marketing play, definitely.
For sure. And I'm pretty sure people are sending him money. I don't know if he'll get the $2 million. There's a part of me that wants him to get it just to see it happen. But I actually like his music and I don't want him to go away. But I do want him to be happy. I feel like he'd be happy if he had that $2 million and could just go away and get out of the spotlight. Because he he's a different cat out here. You know, I don't know if y'all heard the Joey Badass podcast that he just put out with him and God, I'm blanking on the dude's name, but he was on his podcast and he was talking about all the classic hip hop records that he'd never heard before. And this is a professional, like Vince Staples is a professional rapper. And he was open and honest about like, hey, I've never heard a Jay-Z record. I've never heard a Nas record. I've never heard Tupac, or there was some like he'd never heard Get Rich or Die Trying. There's a lot of things that he hadn't heard. And he was pretty open and honest about it. And I thought, me personally, if I don't think I'd be that open about, quote unquote hip hop classic albums that I hadn't heard. I'd probably just be like, keep it to myself and just front like I heard it.
Okay, so I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Never heard a Jay-Z or a Nas album. Like my first question.
In its entirety, he said he never heard like Jay-Z or Nas in its entirety.
I mean, same. I haven't heard like a solo. I haven't heard like a solo Jay-Z album in its entirety. Like I've heard songs from all of them. I'm just not listening to that all the way through. I don't have the attention span for that shit.
Yeah, man. Times are different, man. Like I had the.
What the?
But it does seem kind of odd that like someone that has got to where Vince Staples has got as a rapper hasn't heard some of the classic albums out there. Like, how did you learn how to rap? Like, who were your influences? Who did you study if you're not studying these guys? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, he is from Cali, right? Like Long Beach.
Yeah. He said he's heard like Doggy Style and stuff like that.
Okay, that was gonna be my next thing. I mean, have you heard Doggy Style? But even though we know Calvin Bros from Mississippi, shout out to the M. My question for you, Mr. Muhammad, is how do you not hear like what was Jay-Z's last album? I'm sorry, 444.
444.
It wasn't even that many tracks. Are you trying to say that
shit was
you've
boring.
never just
Ooh.
Oh my goodness. No, but what I'm saying is like you've never just sat there and listened to an old album straight through, or you've just never clocked the whole like the catalog of that album.
I have never listened
like, is
to
that
a
what
Jay-Z album all the way through. Like I've listened to other people's album all the way through a couple times, people that don't bore me, but like every song on there besides maybe two, legit, I would skip over because if I heard it again, I would probably skip over half of those.
Who's the last album that you heard all the way through? Like whose album was it?
You mean like that got released recently or just like period? Because I was doing
let's just go with period. Like the last one you listened to all the way through.
Probably Flower Boy. And
okay.
Before that, it was probably a mixtape from like a couple years ago.
But that Flower Boy is the truth, though. That's just on another level too, though. Like you're not going to get bored listening to that, and he's got a lot of different sounds, and it's a very good, it's a dope album. But as far as Vince Staples talking about a bunch of albums, a lot of classic albums that he hadn't heard and that he wasn't gonna listen to again. I'm pretty sure that's where like he wasn't gonna go. He probably isn't gonna go back and re-listen to those albums because it's like nobody wants to go back and listen to an album that came out in like 1988. You know what I'm saying? Like that stuff probably doesn't hold up as much anymore. Like nobody wants to listen. Like if you've never heard Illmatic, I feel like if you heard it now, it's not going to have the same effect as it did back in the 90s.
Well, now pause on that one. I didn't hear Illmatic in its entirety until like late after the 2010s. And it's still like it's a good enough album to where it stands the test of time. So
lyrically, I'll agree with you.
Not on the beats, but yeah,
sonically, like low key, the beats is kind of trash. Like
they are, but it's classic.
They were good back then. Yeah, it's like a very classic sound. But like right now, compared to the beats we're getting now, like Illmatic ain't it. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't really have the desire to go back and listen to that.
And this actually just
first time, and I really like it, but I'm not gonna like if I'm like going somewhere, I'm not gonna just like you know what, let me listen to this real quick.
You're not gonna throw it in the whip. You're not gonna throw it in the whip.
Definitely, it's a
I gotta be in
Sunday.
the mood
It's
to listen to
boring.
that. Right.
Yeah, I have to make myself in the mood. But now I'm looking at just the level of maybe you know what, I might be washed. I don't know what Flower Boy is. What is that?
Wow.
You don't know who Tyler the Creator is?
Yeah, but I don't really listen to his music like that.
Yeah, that was his last album. It's called Flower Boy.
Oh well, yeah, I don't listen to Tyler the Creator, so I guess I'm kind of I need to step my game up. But yeah,
yeah, I feel like shout out to Michael Pratt on Twitter. He asked the question on Twitter a couple days ago, like, what's the classic hip hop album that you haven't heard? And I read that question, I thought about it, and I was like, man, there's a shit ton of music that I haven't listened to back in the day that I probably will never go back and listen to. And I said it, I was like, yo, I could probably name 10 albums that are supposedly classics that I just never listened to and probably won't. Now, if I had to name like one, I mean, I could name a bunch, but like I've never heard a Wu-Tang album in its entirety. Like not a single one. I couldn't tell you.
Agreed.
Like I haven't listened to Wu-Tang. Like it's crazy because I know that Kanye West was heavily influenced by them, but I had heard A Tribe Called Quest's album, their newest album. I listened to that like a month ago, but I've never listened to any of their music like prior to their last album. Like I've never listened to an entire Big Pun album or a Scarface album or a Roots album. Like there's a lot of things out there that I just haven't listened to.
I haven't heard half of those people's names before in my life.
Yeah, a lot of these
what
are.
In the world, man? Come on.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Like I've heard like most of them. I just haven't listened to like their music. So
yeah, I just like some of the music. It just didn't cross my path. Like when I think about it, like where I grew up in the South in the 90s, you know, when there wasn't really the internet, really, like how was I gonna hear Wu-Tang Clan?
Great artist.
Oh yeah, I love the internet. The internet's great. The internet is great.
I'm looking at just a quick on the top 10s, like top 10 greatest albums of all time, and I'm just going through what I've heard in its entirety. Not so Illmatic, yes. The Marshall Mathers LP, I don't know how that's top 10 all time, but yes. Ready to Die, yes. Enter the Woo, no. To Pimp a Butterfly, I don't know how that made the list, honestly. All Eyes on Me, yes. The Chronic, of course. The Eminem Show shouldn't be there.
Whoa, Eminem's got two. Where's this list from?
It's the top 10s, the top10s.com.
Wow.
Straight Outta Compton. Actually, that I didn't listen to an album of theirs in its entirety after the movie came out. It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, Public Enemy. I've never heard of Public Enemy album. And then they got 1999 by Joey Badass. I haven't heard that album.
Oh, that's
Love
really
is
good.
Rage 2 by Lil Uzi Vert.
Okay, this list is invalid if they're putting that up there. That's ridiculous. That just came out last year. That can't be for real. That can't be for real. There was only one good song on that album.
Hey, Good Kid, Mad City, yes. And Reasonable Doubt, I'm sorry. And My Twisted Dark Fantasies, yes. So
that's a very questionable list. But if you're listening to this podcast, at us and tell us a classic hip hop album or record that you have not heard, that you're
At them, because I don't care.
Yeah, I mean it's I guess it's something that at some point we gotta understand that I bet there's a bunch of New Yorkers right now listening to this talking about, man, how you never heard of a Wu-Tang or Mobb Deep or Wu-Tang Clan or Big Pun and all this stuff. And it's like back then it was a lot harder to get, that kind of music where we lived at, where people in the West Coast lived at. There's probably people in Texas talking about how come you've never heard of Scarface or UGK. And people grew up in different places. There's different circumstances. And everybody's not listening to the same thing that you're listening to at the same time. And you just got to accept that people are on a different journey. You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to accept that.
yeah, you're right. You do have to be able to accept that. And just on that merit alone, thanks to YouTube today, I'm gonna look up the Flower Boy, and I'm gonna actually go out and expand my music catalog myself and listen to that one. So
Yeah, I mean, but do you see how easy it is to do that? Like 20 years ago, you wouldn't have been able to do that. You'd have just been like, well, I gotta, wake up in the morning, go to the store, what I'm saying, and purchase it and do all this stuff. It's a lot easier now. You can just pull it up on your phone. But back to the Vince Staples retirement fund. If who's the one celebrity, if they said, hey, if you pay me X amount of money, I'll go away. Who's the celebrity that you would pay to have go away?
Does academics count?
oh, I don't really think he counts as a celebrity, but I mean, yeah.
How much would you be willing to give him for him to go away forever?
Bro, say a number.
Oh man, that nigga's so.
I mean, what's so wrong with academics, man? I used to like academics on YouTube.
Are you serious, or are you just like trying to get an answer out of me?
No, I'm like dead serious. Like on YouTube, I fucked with him heavy like a few years ago. Now that he's had the Everyday Struggle show and some of the other stuff, he's just really corny. But I mean, I liked his YouTube channel for a while.
I don't give a fuck about his YouTube channel.
Well, what's your beef with academics?
I don't like people that like are like overly like dick riders to like celebrities, and like especially when there's people who he like tries to ridicule, but will continue to talk about them, like the Bunk and like Tekashi 6ix9ine shit. Like
that's just
if you're really trying to like say something bad about them, don't try to keep promoting their shit. Like, come on now.
That was kind of annoying. He's like, man, y'all really think this is what's popping? You think this is hot? And he's the first one to like retweet their videos and repost them,
and then shares it like 18 times throughout the day.
Yeah, it's like, bro, like,
come on
what
now.
are you doing? I'm pretty sure I blocked him after a while. I was like, yo, I can't with this guy because it's almost like he's their promoter.
Yeah, I've heard that about him. I mean, I haven't really followed him since Joe Budden's left. Like, I just don't care, but. Yeah, the person that I would pay any amount of money to get rid of actually is going to segue into the next topic, but it'd be the whole Kardashian / Jenner clan.
Oof.
Like, I'm just sick of it. And the worst thing is, really, what them, whoever created any of the housewives or basketball wives or mob wives or this section of wives, any of that crap, just get rid of it. Like, it's all trash TV, but women they're like fucking bees to honey on it. Like, it's ridiculous. Anything the Kardashians touch, it's just the greatest thing ever. Anything they promote is great. Anything they pull a culture vulture on, it's just wonderful. They created it. Like, next thing you know, in 20 years, they're going to say Kim Kardashian was the first with the quote unquote Bo Derek braids. It's just ridiculous. I'm tired of seeing them. And like, ever since Kanye has gotten a relationship with Kim, I actually don't like Kanye as much. Like, it's just crazy. I'd pay $200 million to get rid of them.
Wow.
If I hit the law.
That's a lot. That's definitely a lot. My thing with the Kardashians.
You better be lucky. You better be trying to catch the lottery or some shit. God.
The thing with the Kardashians and the Jenners is like, I always hear about how everybody despises them, how everybody hates them, how everybody wants them to go away. Why are they always on TV? Why are they always a trending topic? There are some things about them that is problematic, but if you look at their following on Twitter and on Instagram, all of them got like 20 million followers, 100 million followers. Their TV shows are pretty highly rated. You know what I'm saying? Their makeup and whatever they sell is going off the racks at a very high rate. So it's like, who are the people that are paying them attention? Because if they weren't popular, they wouldn't be here. You know what I'm saying? Like, but yeah, I mean, you go to their page right now, they got like 20 million followers each. And it's like, on one hand, it's like they get paid just to look beautiful, but they got some power behind them. Like, Kylie Jenner said like the new Snapchat filter or whatever they did with Snapchat. She said it wasn't good anymore, and that she was going to get off of it. And Snapchat lost $1 billion, like off of one like. And Kylie Jenner isn't even the most popping of the Jenners.
I think they give her credit for that, but even before she said that, that was what just was popping. Like everybody, and it is deeper than sure the interface sucks. But the other thing is you realize that a lot of people are not susceptible to change anyway. And it was such a drastic change that people don't want to go from what they're used to doing something different anyway. And then it starts to steamroll. Hey, I call my friend, Snapchat sucks. Yes, I don't have my own opinion. I agree with you. It sucks. Now my 100 friends agree, your 100 friends agree, and it just kind of keeps rolling. So I think because the interface does actually suck, they would have lost the money anyway, but they're giving credit to Kylie.
They're not losing $1 billion because a few hundred fans don't like it. Because
it's more than that. I mean, I seen one tweet.
I doubt it's just it was You can.
Here's my thing. Like people, every time Twitter gets updated, everybody hates new update. When they went from hearts to stars, and they changed like how you quote tweets and stuff like that. Like they changed Twitter every like 2 months, and every 2 months people complain about how they don't like how Twitter is. They want the old Twitter back, but
I don't think it was on this level. I don't think it was on this level. Like they completely changed Snapchat, like to the point where there have been a point where I get on Snapchat multiple times a day. Now it'll be 3, 4, 5 days, a week or 2 weeks before I even get on Snapchat because it's just annoying and nobody's even really using it anymore.
Yeah, it is fair to say that because I don't have Snapchat, so I don't know how drastic the changes were. But
it was big, trust me.
Okay, like if it was that big of a change, then I can kind of understand that. But I mean, they weren't going to lose $1 billion off of however many people did, unless it was just that bad. But I feel like the Kylie Jenner thing kind of put it into overdrive, where it's like, yo, we really fucked up. Like investors are pulling out. People are starting to just be like, hey, I'm not doing this anymore. Like the Kardashian Jenners, they got some clout and they got some pull. You know what I'm saying? Like I've seen a couple of videos of, and I know this is going to hurt KJ, and I'm sorry to have to do this, but there's been videos of Kyle Kuzma and Lonzo Ball like hanging out on Instagram and stuff like they seem to be really close. And they like to hang out and they like to go to dinner and they, roast each other online. But I mean, Kyle Kuzma, he's a light-skinned dude and he plays in LA. That's a Kris Jenner honeypot if I'd ever seen one. She is going to get him, and she's going to get him entangled into their web. And he's going to be.
Don't put that bad juju on.
It's already out there. It's already out there.
And they already ruined Tristan, and they got a lot of bodies on their.
Hey, James Harden was struggling for a while too. They had James Harden out there looking crazy. They had Lamar Odom out there in rehab.
Hey, he was about to die in a brothel.
Don't disrespect the young guy Kyle Kuzma, man.
Hey, Kyle Kuzma is just light-skinned enough and good enough at basketball to get snatched up by the Kardashian Jenner clan. It's gonna happen. Like I don't even know, because I'm pretty sure Kylie just had a baby, and the other one, Kendall, I don't know who she's dating, but I'm pretty sure there's another kid somewhere that can be, shipped up with Kyle Kuzma, and Kyle Kuzma will get brainwashed and he'll break up what the Lakers have. He'll break up the young core and he'll go play somewhere, and like he'll play for the Knicks or the Clippers. But enjoy Lonzo and Kyle Kuzma while you can, because Kris Jenner is plotting and she's going to break them up. It's going to be a sad day. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be sad because I think
that's what it seems like their goal is. They just flip-flop men and stay as relevant as possible. Like the one thing, and the reason why I said in the last segment why I would just like to see them gone is because like it seems like whenever nobody's talking about one of them, there has to be some new nude, some new controversy, somebody's always saying, oh yeah, this person's sex tape or that person's sex tape is coming out. And it's just like a formula that they have, like, hey, when it's starting to die down a little bit, do something outrageous. Drop some professional nudes. I mean, she doesn't even take like nudes that one of us would take on a busted up camera phone, a Samsung Note 2. They have professional photographers to drop nudes and record videos and stuff like that, and then they drop them and become right back the lightning bolt that they are. I just get so tired of seeing them. Like, I mean, but you're right, they have so much pull. Like, if Kylie Jenner came to either one of the podcasts that we have associated with each other and said, "Hey, I go to DBNR for my Falcons news," she's a Falcons fan, that shit would blow the fuck up. If she came and said, "Hey, I mess with the committee, they're funny," we'd blow up. It's just like that, as simple as that.
Yeah, they definitely have a.
By the way, if you would like to do that, go ahead and throw that shout out there. We'll gladly take it.
They definitely have a very large social following, and they have a lot of pull in the social media area. But shout out to Freddie Beats from the Reduced Lunch podcast, because he said something. He tweeted something like a couple weeks ago, I think it was. But he was talking about how, like, every time Beyonce does something, Kim Kardashian drops a picture on Instagram, and I'm pretty sure that's what happened like the day after Top Off came out. Now I don't know if have y'all heard that song?
No.
Nah,
Top Off.
I haven't heard Top Off yet, but I've heard a lot of buzz about it.
With Jay-Z, Beyonce,
I was
and Future.
gonna give it like a couple weeks for it to die down before people's bad opinions came.
Well, here's the thing about especially Twitter when it comes to new music with, polarizing artists, is the music is either trash or it's great. There's no in between. When you're on the level of a Beyonce or Jay-Z, if you drop a song, it's either trash or it's great. There's no nuance between these with these guys. My question: how did DJ Khaled get 2 Jay-Z Beyonce features on back-to-back albums? How did that happen? Who's the last person to do that? Has that ever happened?
He might be about to sacrifice his son or something. Honestly.
I mean,
hey, come on, man.
No holds barred.
Hey, I mean, who's the last? I'm pretty sure he might be the only one who's ever done that. Had Jay-Z and Beyonce on the same song for back-to-back singles. That's incredible. Like, more power to him. But definitely. I mean, if we're gonna keep it real, man, DJ Khaled hasn't really had like a summer anthem since he was with like Ace Hood and T-Pain, and he was saying nigga on a record. Like, he doesn't say nigga no more. He don't really mess with T-Pain anymore, and these beats ain't really popping like they used to be. Like,
I don't know. Last year was.
I was about to say, are we about to disrespect that song he did with Chance, Lil Wayne, and Justin Bieber? Or
that song was that song wasn't great.
It wasn't great, but it was popping because of the artist.
You said a summer hit, and definitely that shit was a summer hit.
And then the year before that, the For Free with Drake and the Nas's album's done and all that. Like,
I mean, those songs were fine, but they didn't ring off like I'm So Hood. Remember when that song came out? Like, that shit was everywhere.
I mean, depends on where you were at, because where I was at, everywhere I went, that shit was on. So
yeah, I heard You're the One so much. Like, God,
I got so tired of it because it was on everything.
I feel like that has more to do with Justin Bieber than DJ Khaled. So. And I mean, if we're gonna keep,
why does that matter though? It's just you said a song with him that he produced that it was on it.
I'm talking about
can't be making caveats because the shit doesn't apply.
No, I'm saying, but was the song good or was it just popular?
Good.
That song was not good. Get out of here.
I definitely enjoyed that song, and I hate
good.
A lot of new music.
It wasn't like, I mean, you remember when like All I Do Is Win came out? It wasn't on that level.
But see, wait a minute now. That's like when we were younger, we were in clubs and stuff like that, and so maybe that has to do because I'm not really a club goer, so I don't know if I'm the one or any of these other songs or what's that? Rafe Talk, whatever that was. I don't know if these songs are playing in the club like that, but I remember the songs you're naming were like club anthems when I went to the club.
Yeah, like DJ Khaled is not really making that kind of music anymore. He's making more like popular type poppy radio song. Like,
kind of poppy,
like You're the One is a radio song. That's a radio record. That's a song made specifically for the radio to get spins, to get popular. But it's not my thing with Khaled is his music isn't as inspired as it used to be. Like I don't
Man,
get that
he
same
had the
feeling.
greatest singer of all time with the greatest rapper of all time on one track.
Exactly. And I hit the beat is just it's an average. Like I know y'all haven't heard the song, but the beat is just average. It's not like
No, I have. I'm talking about on You're the One. I'm not talking about on Top.
Oh no. Yeah, I'm talking about Top Off. When you
I said the greatest rapper and the greatest singer, they were on You're the One, not on Top Off.
I'm talking about the Top Off beat. That's
I'm talking about Justin Bieber, the greatest singer of all time, with Lil Wayne, Louise.
Okay, I'm going to ignore the whole Justin Bieber is the greatest singer of all time. We're just going to pass over that.
He is one of the most greatest singers of ever. He's like a mix,
extremely talented. He's extremely
of Michael Jackson mixed with.
All right, I wouldn't go.
Milli Vanilli.
I wouldn't go that far.
Milli Vanilli.
Milli Vanilli. Before they were exposed, he is like all of that wrapped into one.
Now, I'm not going to say that Justin Bieber is not talented because the kid clearly has some sort of talent, but I'm not going to say he's the greatest singer of all time. I'm not even going to say he's the top 10 singer of all time. But back to Top Off, you cannot have the greatest rapper ever and the greatest living entertainer today and
Bruno Mars.
No, Beyonce, and the hottest rapper out of Atlanta, one of the hottest rappers out of Atlanta on a song, and you can't have him on a trash beat. You can't have him on a mediocre beat. And he did. Like Jay-Z and Beyonce did what they were supposed to do on that song. Future, it's hit or miss. I didn't mind it. It was fine. It wasn't bad, but the beat was just not good enough. DJ Khaled, like maybe DJ Khaled's production has a ceiling and he can't just reach the level to be able to bring the best out of a Beyonce or Jay-Z.
But he don't even make beats though, does he? He's just kind of like orchestrates who's going to be on the songs.
I feel like he does make the beats. I'm pretty sure he does make the beats on these songs. But whoever made the beat, I mean, DJ Khaled has a sign off on it. And Beyonce and Jay-Z, you know, I don't. Khaled did something. He's got something on those two. The fucking Illuminati is real out here because there's no reason Jay-Z and Beyonce should be on 2 back-to-back singles for DJ Khaled. That doesn't make any sense.
It sure doesn't.
Makes no sense. But let's talk about everybody's new favorite dad, since we're talking about people that we hate. And Will Smith kind of got on Instagram and took it by storm. Like his videos are ending up on TV. His Instagram stories are generating think pieces and, you know, going viral really quickly. And I don't know if any of you guys follow him on Instagram, but I personally think
have that installed.
Okay. I personally think what Will Smith is doing on Instagram is better than any movie he has ever done.
Okay, nigga, get out. What the hell? Have you not seen Bad Boys?
The thing that his videos, his speeches are so inspirational. You know, they definitely are motivating, and they're movies or they're stories that could change someone's life or perspective on life and change the way people view things. And I personally think that they're that great. If you go through Will Smith's IMDb page and then look at his Instagram stories and tell me what movie is better than this Instagram. You're not going to find one. His Instagram is the greatest Instagram ever created. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. It's the best one I've ever seen. He's perfect at it. I don't know how he got so good at it. Obviously, he's got people around him helping him, but his Instagram is phenomenal. But as the internet wants to do, at some point, the internet is going to turn on Will Smith because they turn on everybody. At some point, the internet, there's always a flip side to the coin. And at some point, Will Smith is going to say something and people are going to take it the wrong way and they're going to drag the shit out of Will Smith. And then Will Smith is going to become annoying.
I don't know, man. Will Smith's been in the game for a long time, man. He's been an entertainer since damn near before I was born. Like he
hasn't been on the internet though.
He hasn't been on the internet, but over time, if you're entertaining and an entertainer, you're gonna be able to evolve. I look at someone, You talk about greatest people online, Instagram, stuff like that. I'm gonna look at somebody that I know, like Applies. His rap career was done, it was over.
Yes.
Figured out he was low-key kind of funny, started making videos, and now he's kind of back relevant again.
Yes.
And it's kind of like if you have a certain level of talent and a little bit of an audience like Will Smith, people forget, hey, he was funny on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It overstayed his welcome, but he was funny. He could rap. He can genuinely act if you give him the proper role. I mean, look at him in Bagger Vance. Look at him as an action hero. I mean, he was The Rock before The Rock. So it's kind of like the guy has talent. He could do anything he wants to. His kids have talent, even though they hate on him. His wife has talent. Like that whole Smith sperm pool just is flooded with talent. Well, shout out to Will Smith.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't.
Wait a minute,
happen.
hold on. And Jalen Muhammad, why do you not have an Instagram?
Because I don't have a need for it. What the fuck?
I'm just saying, that's like...
What is the point of Instagram that Twitter cannot give you?
You have a Snapchat, though.
Yes, barely. And I only use that for my streaks.
Okay. All right. I was just concerned and worried.
I have no point in going on Instagram. There's literally no point in me having an Instagram that Twitter cannot give me.
Well, yeah, you're right. Yeah, see, that I try to tell people that, and some people are like, well, like, I think people devalue Twitter, but...
What am I gonna do? Start thirsting on females on Twitter, on Instagram like everybody else? I can do that on Instagram. On Twitter. Just look up a hashtag real quick.
Yeah, you're definitely right. Shout out to Twitter, because Twitter is way better than all of the other social medias. It sure is.
Yeah, I mean, I hope people can enjoy and appreciate what Will Smith is doing on Instagram, because it's a beautiful thing. If you're not following Will Smith on Instagram, make sure you follow him. If you don't have Instagram, I'm sure if you type it in on Twitter, his videos will pop up, because people are putting those things everywhere. And, hopefully people stay, keep a positive mindset towards him and what he's doing, because I feel like he's trying to do the right thing. But let's talk about your boy. Let's talk about your man's Rick Ross.
Shout out to Wingstop. Shout out to Checkers / Rallies. Hey, all-time favorite. They got the best fries. Oh, and speaking of Thurston, shout out to Miss Slim Bella. Thank you for feeding the needy with your thirst traps. We definitely love it. Yes. Shout out to Rick Ross.
All right, dog. Like, I'd be waking up in the morning to go to my fucking 8 a.m. class or whatever, and it'd be the first thing I see in case you missed it. I'm like, bruh, it's 6 in the morning. What am I doing? Why is this on my timeline right now?
Yeah,
every day.
Hey, if you're not following Miss Slim Bella, go listen to last week's episode, and you'll probably start following her after that. But anyway, Rick Ross, I believe he just got out of the hospital. He was in the hospital for a few days or a few weeks even, and I think it was. Thankfully, it seems like he's healthy and he's back.
Why did you laugh? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
The reason why I was laughing because I think Gossip, they put out a headline like the day that he went to the hospital saying that he was found unresponsive and had boo-booed on himself. Like they literally
oh shit!
The headline literally said Rick Ross found unresponsive and boo-booed on himself. I was like, come on, man. Y'all can't say that. What if that nigga died, man? You can't have that nigga out there like, he might have shit on himself. And that's how they found him or something like that. But apparently he was like in a coma. He was in a real bad place. And they haven't really said what exactly happened to him or why this happened. But the streets are out here saying that he was having a little session with 2 professional women, and they took a toll on him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Rick Ross ain't as young as he used to be. You know what I'm saying? He might have been a little dehydrated,
The man went through a
And
whole UFC workout. I respect it.
hey, he wasn't prepared for the work that needed to be done, and they kind of, I guess, took a they literally fucked the shit out of him. I was like, come on, Rick, you can't be out here getting it in like that, man. You can't be. I was like,
there was also another story that was funny that said he would ironically be found unconscious in the hospital so he didn't have to pay child support bills.
God damn.
Oh, yeah, I seen that one too. Yeah.
I mean, the payments can't be that high to where you're willing to die over. You'd rather die than pay for your children.
Man, it's a dirty world out there. The only thing that I didn't like was the fact that it was like the telephone game when you're little in kindergarten. You tell one person one thing, and then towards the end, the story is just completely different. It was like, okay, he was found unconscious here. He died. He had pneumonia. He had a heart attack. He boo-booed on himself. Like, bro, what really happened?
Yeah, they said he was on like life support at one point, and then I guess one of his artists said that they went and saw him and that he wasn't on life support. So it's like, yeah, it's in the internet age, a lot of things can get misconstrued.
Hashtag fake news.
And yes, especially that. Like people just get their own little stories to get clicks. Cause like the Bossip headline, I clicked on that. That shit was funny. Like I was like, hey, let me go ahead and click this thing, you know? So I don't know what happened with him specifically. But I mean, you got to stay hydrated, man. He's a big dude, man. I know he's been losing a little bit of weight, but
shout out to all the pairs.
Hey,
yeah, shout out to all the pairs.
I mean, maybe he needs to stretch, you know, drink more water. You know what I'm saying? Like, make sure you're warmed up. Man, because I don't think it's a bad look to die that way. Like, you know, you're with two professional women and they just fuck you to death. Like, I don't think that's that bad of a way to go out.
Well, Lamar Odom almost died that way, so you definitely think, hey, we're gonna formulate opinions.
But is Lamar Odom the biggest boss that you've seen thus far?
He is not.
No, he's not. But he's like 6'8".
All right, then. Case closed. Closed.
See, that's why we need to have these sex robots out here, because they can keep you safe. Like, I feel like the sex robots, if you have like a heart attack or something, they can automatically call 911 for you, start doing like mouth to mouth and chest compressions. I feel like there should be a mode on these sex robots that'll help save your life if something were to happen to you. Unlike these other women who probably just like took his jewelry and left.
Shout out to Black China.
Hey. Lazy ass.
Sound like something that she do, yeah. You know what? You know, a small sense. I know that we laugh and we joke a lot, but this goes to something. Me being overweight for most of my life, like, bruh, just when a big person gets sick or doesn't feel well, that doesn't mean we're having high cholesterol issues, diabetes, all these different things. Like, some big dudes are actually healthy. Some big dudes are actually fast, strong. Some people are just really big boned and meant to be big. Like, some of the jokes that they let fly and stuff like 50 Cent saying if he dies, and stuff like that. Like, those are some low blows. Like, come on, man.
50 Cent petty as fuck, man. That dude has there's no limit to how petty he will be.
His old Twitter tweets are like hilarious. Honestly, some of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
I need to go back to his old ones then.
Yeah,
because he is pretty funny, and he's definitely petty.
Yeah, he's funny, but he, like, man, I feel like if someone's in the hospital and they're, you know, the story's still a little cloudy, kind of got to give it a little bit of time before you start throwing out the whole if he dies joke. Like, come on, man, you're doing too much right there. Like, the beef is over. I feel like their beef has been over for a little while now,
for at least 10 years. Yeah,
and I mean, if we're keeping it a buck. If we're going to keep it honest, Rick Ross kind of came out on top of that one. Like, Rick Ross is still relevant when it comes to music, and 50 Cent kind of...
I don't know what you're talking about.
Their beef.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Officer Ricky, he was a corrections officer. They went back and forth.
What talk about.
Alrighty, so I keep forgetting that we have a young person on this podcast who doesn't know much about what happened in the early 2000s. But like I feel like at the time, 50 Cent was the biggest rapper. He was a bigger rapper than Rick Ross. He was selling more records. But Rick Ross,
that was like towards the end of his run. But yeah, he was a little bit bigger than Rick Ross at that time.
Yeah, but even considering like what they unearthed about Rick Ross, for Rick Ross to still be doing what he's doing at this point, this many years later, like he hasn't even missed a step. Like he's rapped himself like to the top of the rap game almost. And 50 Cent he's relevant when it comes to like his TV shows and everything else outside of rap, but no one's really checking for 50 Cent's music. Like I listened to like his first 3 albums, I guess. But after that, it's kind of like, all right, well, it's not really popping out here for you like it used to be. But Rick Ross is still out here dropping classic material, great records.
I've always thought that if you take away the drug talk, Rick Ross is actually a dope MC anyway. Like he's a dope rapper. So then, yeah, he's gonna stand the test of time. And I think he's tried to get away from it a little bit, somewhat, but yeah, his rap game is so tight. Like you can't ignore the skill set. And then his beat selection is just so fucking dope, man.
It's on another level. It's damn near unfair, his beat selection. Like I don't know if it's a gift or he just gets lucky or I don't know what it is, but I've never heard that dude get on a bad beat, like ever. Like I've never heard him on a whack track, and it's takes you to another level. I'll say that.
Yeah, I pulled out one of my homeboys sent me a Rick Ross mix from Apple Music, and I was like, because I was thinking he was about to die, of course, and so I was like, man, let me just listen to all my favorite songs, reminisce about truly an artist that was one of my favorites. Like I said, me as being a bigger dude, we lost Biggie at a young age. I was still young, but Rick Ross kind of made you happy to be a big dude with a beard and stuff like that. So I started listening to some of the songs. I was like, dang, man, this dude has a large catalog of hits. So I will be releasing that playlist this week in honor of Rick Ross and this podcast for everybody to listen.
For sure. All right, it is the off season for football. The combine just happened. Free agency, huh?
There is no off season.
Yeah,
listen, it's from about May to July. It really sucks. But
I mean, well, technically, it's kind of picked up. There's been a lot of trades.
Always grinding.
A lot of moves have been going on so far. Like I said, the combine just happened, and at the combine, they have players go and talk to the team's GMs or scouts or player personnel or whatever, and they interview the player to kind of get a feel for how they are as a person and what they can bring to the table.
Somebody will run from the cops? Or?
Oh no, I have my window open, and I live in downtown Atlanta, so.
Oh, okay. I get you. Okay.
that shit happens every 30 minutes or some shit. I'm surprised it hasn't happened more than once already.
It's getting real in the field. But yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, let's go ahead and bring it on in. Yes, to like you said, let's go ahead and bring out Darius Geis and the allegations against him that are really stupid in my opinion, because the bottom line is if a player wants to be
tell him what the team allegedly asked.
And once again, now we understand Atlanta did it before, so it's not Atlanta. It hasn't come out as being them, but a certain team and some execs asked Darius Geis, did he prefer to sleep with men? And amongst other questions, I didn't hear about them asking about his mother being a prostitute. I thought that was just Dez Bryant.
No, they asked him to.
Well, damn. I don't know what that's all about. But my thing is with that is, how can you ask a man that? Like, are they trying to see how get a reaction out of him, see how he is, or do they think he's gay? And even if you are gay or not, that doesn't affect a person's play if you're gay. I mean, we all know Odell Beckham Jr., despite this alleged tape of some woman sleeping near him, we know he's gay. Let's just be honest. But we still respect his gay ass play. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my
The balls and goes long,
on,
takes
man.
it big to the end zone. We still love Odell Beckham Jr. Even though Julio Jones is light years better.
Slow
So
down.
what difference does it make?
Slow down. All right.
It ain't no slow down. Julio's better, but yes.
Dilly.
Jalen, you're a mock draft guy. You're a scout. You watch film on these players. Does that matter when you evaluate a player? Is that something that would come up when you're watching a guy play?
No, I don't give a fuck. All I care about is if you're on the field and if you're gonna win me games or not. I don't give a fuck what you do off the field, as long as it's not like putting me in a bad light.
The thing with him is that they're kind of putting him in a shitty, not a shitty position, but he's not he's like a late first round, maybe early second round pick. Would you say like that's his grade? He's probably like a second round running back.
Mid first, second.
Yeah, mid first. Should be a second running back taken, yeah.
So
I wouldn't go that far because I think Sony's a better overall back.
But Sony's gonna drop. I think Sony's a second or mid second, but we'll see.
I just find it interesting that he didn't feel the need to say what team it was that asked him that question. Like it's almost like he's
don't do anything that's gonna negate your bag. If he gets paid after that shit happened, and then he can oust them or whatever.
But is that
point, don't do anything on anybody that can draft you?
Is that not a problem though, that you can't even come out and say like, hey, this team specifically asked me an inappropriate,
you can say it.
Unprofessional question?
It's just gonna affect you.
But that's the problem. Isn't that the problem? Isn't that a problem in that whole league? If that's a problem, you know what I'm saying? Like you not being able to say what team asked you that question is going to cost you money. That's a problem, and that's an issue that Roger Goodell needs to fix. Like Adolphus said, this isn't the first time a team has done this. Like the Falcons did this to another player. The Falcons did this. Like that they were unprofessional, and it should have been nipped in the bud back then, but teams are still doing this. And if it's a problem that, that he doesn't feel the need, he doesn't feel like he can come out and say like, hey, this team said this because he's going to hurt his draft stock. Like that's a problem. That's not the kind of business you want to run.
That's not. And actually, I have a question for you, and I would like to say, just go ahead and give you a big ups. If anybody ever has the time, Jalen, if you're interested in football mock drafts, stuff like that, this guy's a genius. So definitely check him out. Possibly going to be a future scout, maybe even a GM in the league.
I'm already better than about 28 GMs in the league, so just saying.
Definitely. So go ahead and holler at your boy because mock drafts are A1. But I do have a question for you when it comes to this same topic. So we all know about the Michael Sam issue, and he was unathletic and things like that. If it was a player of the caliber of Darius Geis, you have him, mid first round grade. If he were to come out and say he's gay, do you think that he would drop like Michael Sam? Because Michael Sam, prior to the year that he came out, was supposed to be a first or second round guy, and then he came out and he was fourth, fifth. And then he wound up undrafted. So do you think in these times
he got drafted?
I think.
Oh yeah, second round. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but he was a SEC co-defensive player of the year, and those guys get drafted first, second round, like historically.
I think he had all the hype before like the combine and shit happened, and then he went to his combine and completely like was trash. I remember that too. And everybody was like, "Oh, they think maybe he can move a little bit better than he does." And then he went into his combine, and it was just way worse than people thought it was. I do think that like dealing with old white guys as usual, besides Arthur Blank and like some other people, because Arthur Blank doesn't really give a fuck about like people's background as long as you're not an asshole. Shout out to Uncle Arthur, but
shout out to Arthur.
I do think that like some NFL GMs or whatever, or like CEOs or whatever tell people not to draft people based on their like religious and views on like certain things because they don't want those kind of people representing their team, which is why like the Patriots have all white players and stuff like that. But that's something completely different.
I just find it funny that people in 2018 still believe that there are no gay professional athletes. Like you really think there's not?
I still think it's retarded in 2018 that people don't think black people should have better rights, but the shit's still happening. So sometimes you just got to deal with it until it gets fixed.
Yeah, definitely. Because like now that I look at my teams, the Jacksonville Jaguars, tatted on my arm for life, and it's like we know Jalen Ramsey is gay.
All right,
and it's kind of almost
that dude. He is hella sassy, and I don't really care because I love it.
I love it, but I think it wouldn't surprise me if he played for the other team. But I wouldn't give a damn. He's that talented. He's good.
He's the best corner in the game.
I'm not gonna go that far, but he's the best. I don't want to show my bias, but yeah.
Yeah, this is coming from a Falcons fan. He's the best corner in the game.
But like I said, I would still take him as a gay player, even when, as a Jaguar fan, when Michael Sam was out there, even with Darius Geis, because we kind of need a backup running back. But I wouldn't want to. I'm actually hoping Sony Michael slips and we can pick him up.
Hey,
but that's another story.
If you're gonna pick him up, I'm gonna need you to say his name right. It's Michelle. Okay.
Sony Michelle, Sony Michael, Sony Television, Sony PlayStation. It's the same.
Don't disrespect. All right.
Hey, shout out to the Gators. Fuck the
That's
Bulldogs.
like the fourth leading rusher in Bulldog history. You would respect him as such.
Okay, well, anyway, like I said, if we could pick him late, it would be cool. But, with all these different things that are going on, like, why care if someone's gay or a transsexual or something like that? If it doesn't directly affect me, I don't care. Like, just really. Just don't try to shove it in my face. Pause, no homo.
I mean, what other job interview could you go to and it is perfectly fine to ask someone about their sexual preferences?
None, because you can get sued and you will lose that case.
So why hasn't the NFL been sued yet?
Hooters, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe because
no, you can't. You can't ask the Hooters waitress.
I'm just joking. It's because it's kind of like the good old boys game. They police themselves pretty much, and you're not going to get over with them. I mean, we can have a whole nother show about how much crap the NFL does and gets away with just because no one can really check them, but nothing would happen of it. I mean, unless you go in there with the wire and catch somebody, and then all they would really do is just suspend or fire or give a slap on the wrist to whoever asked it. But, we see stuff all the time. Like, look at earlier this week with what the Dolphins player said about the protest as he was receiving a Walter Payton Award prior to receiving it. Like, when you are able to make those type of comments and nothing can be done, like even with Donald Sterling, there was a bit of a process in the NBA, and we know how black the NBA is. There was a bit of a process before he got rid of the team. Like, in the NFL, it's not even like that. You can come out and say nigger, 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 and still have your team the next day. To say I was drunk and I'm going to rehab.
Yeah, I mean, even when the Falcons person went and asked that question, they fired that guy, right? So that guy got fired.
No,
right?
He didn't get fired.
He didn't get fired.
No, he got canceled because he's got counseled because he's a defensive coordinator now, I believe.
The dude that asked that question is the Falcons defensive coordinator?
He's one of them. I don't know.
You gotta be shitting me. My God. No. What the hell? What the hell are y'all doing? So, okay, let me get this straight. Hold on. Wait,
hold on. Before you go into this, we have a lot of Falcons fans that like our podcast.
I understand
that.
This is why me and Sniffles have beef, dog.
I get that, but hold up. So this guy was just like a regular player personnel evaluator guy, and he asked the player if he was gay, and instead of getting fired, the Falcons promoted him to defensive coordinator.
It happened like 3 seasons ago, dog.
Okay, so we just let that slide. We're just doing that. Like, where's the line at? You know what I'm saying? Like, are the Falcons that unprofessional? You can't find anybody that can call a defense. That you got to call you got to promote the homophobic guy on the staff. Come
How
on,
is that?
guys.
Okay, you can't accuse him of being homophobic because he asked that question, dog.
Yes, I can.
Obviously,
yes, I can.
Really? In
Did he
Atlanta?
ask- okay, did he-
In Atlanta, you can say
That's
he's
what makes it
homophobic.
worse. That's what makes it
In
worse.
Atlanta.
That's what makes it worse. Did he ask that to any other player? Why did he ask it to that guy?
I don't even know who the guy was that he asked. He just said he asked a player.
Okay, so why did he ask it to
Eli Apple, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Eli Apple. Did he ask it to
Oh.
any other players?
I don't know. I didn't even know he asked that until like a month after the draft.
Okay. So that's clearly not a question you should ask people because, like you said, you can get sued for asking that because
but now knowing what we know about Eli Apple potentially being a cancer in the locker room, maybe that was one of the reasons he asked the question because it's like,
okay, no, false equivalency. That stuff does not matter.
I was just saying it, but go ahead.
About false equivalency, like you didn't pull that shit 3 times this entire podcast already. That's crazy.
That's you reaching for something right there. That stuff has nothing to do with the other one. I mean, that's a good try, but that doesn't really work. You can't in a professional setting asking someone what their sexual preference is when that has literally nothing to do with the job. That's homophobic because you wouldn't ask that of every other player. You didn't ask that of like Matt Ryan or Julio Jones or anybody else, but you felt the need to ask one guy. Why did you feel the need to ask him? And then what's the right answer to that question? Is that's what I would want to know. What's the answer that he's looking for? Are you looking for him to say, no, I'm not gay? Is that the right answer? If he says, yes, I am gay, is that the wrong answer? If it is the wrong answer, why is it the wrong answer? And once you start asking all these other questions of y'all's defensive coordinator, then you begin to understand why that is homophobic that he asked that. I didn't think it was that hard of a concept to grasp. Like, it's clearly homophobic to ask that of somebody.
I don't know if you can say that it's homophobic per se.
Okay, let's walk through it. Let's walk through it. Let's do a little role playing here. Okay. Now I'm gonna be the, you know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna be the Falcons GM, and you can be Eli Apple. Now let's say I ask you, hey, are you gay? What's your answer?
Well, no, sir. Why would you want to ask?
Because, if you're gay, I think that kind of makes you soft, and it might be an issue for us in the locker room if you're gay.
Okay, see, but they didn't say that.
Before any of that. Okay, even if he did say something like I think you were soft or whatever, that would not defer him off of like Dan Quinn's draft board because that's not how Dan Quinn works.
Dan Quinn employs homophobes, so I'm not exactly sure how he works. So now
that would be Dimitroff, but that would be Dimitroff and Arthur Blank.
Yes,
that employ them.
Okay, but that's his defensive coordinator, though. That's his guy. Like, he can fire those people, but instead he promoted that guy.
Hey.
I mean, okay, now let's.
There's a certain point in every conversation that like I just be like, all right, bro, let him have it because he said on this one stupid ass idea, so I'm gonna let him have it.
What part is stupid?
First he called the coach homophobe because he asked a question. So I'm assuming that everybody you meet, if you ask somebody they're gay, you're homophobic.
In a professional setting?
Simple.
In a professional setting?
No. Don't you can't even call it a professional setting.
How was that not a professional
situation?
How was that not?
No, I'm talking about my question. I'm talking about my question. Anything you ask anybody if they're gay at any point, that means you're homophobic because you
Is that what I said?
What they are.
Is that what I said?
That's exactly what you said.
No, I'm talking about in a professional setting when it comes to employee and employers. If you're an employee, if you're the employer, then you're asking your employee if they are gay or not. That is homophobic and it's illegal. It's unconstitutional. If we're having a regular conversation between peers and friends and something that we're not getting paid to do, yes, you can ask someone, hey, are you gay? Like, whatever. It's a conversation. But if your boss, a potential boss, asks you that, you can be sued for that. There's a difference. I don't know why that's so hard to understand. You can't ask people that on the job. If you can't ask potential employees, hey, are you gay? Hey, do you like dudes? Hey, do you like dick? You can't do that. It's unprofessional. It's unconstitutional also. So now let's say that y'all's man's says, yes, I am gay. What do you do with that answer? What is that the wrong answer now?
I don't know if he's going to answer that or not. I don't know. I don't know what to say on that one. I don't get the train of thought of asking the question.
The only wrong answer is a lie.
How so? How so? How was a wrong answer a lie when people are too afraid to mess up their draft status by telling us what team asked them if they were gay or not?
Dog, again, you don't know how many people ask that question.
Why are they asking that question? That's the problem.
I'm not saying look, the thing, let me say this. I'm not saying that it's right that they should ask that question. At this point, I think it's wrong. Like, it doesn't really matter. If you can play, you can play, as I said before. But like, you're taking two situations when it could have been about thousands more people to ask that question. Just because one person got offended from it, like you said earlier, everybody wants to be offended. I'm not saying that these players are like want to be offended about it, but like you're saying, just because one or two people were like, "Hey, they asked me this question, I'm offended by it," then everybody's asking. Then like everybody is like messing up the draft stock. For all you know, people that are gay in the NFL, they could have been asked that question, kept it hush with the people that they talked about, and still went on to have successful careers.
But do you think that's
you're choosing two or three?
If you had to bet money on it, do you think that's what happened? Do you think one of those player evaluators came to one of these players and like, hey, are you gay? Do you like men? And that player said yes, and the player evaluator was like, all right, that's fine, and moved on. If you had to put money on it, you think that's what happened?
Yes, actually.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. If that's what you think, then I can't change your mind on that. My thing is that the culture of football allows it to where if you ask a player if he's gay or not, he will not come out and tell you what team asked him that question for fear that he might hurt his draft stock, for fear that, hey, this guy can't keep his mouth shut, or hey, this guy is too sensitive, or hey, this guy took things the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the whole culture of football that needs to be addressed, because like we're saying, there are gay players in the NFL. There's gay kids in college. There's gay kids in high school. And if they feel like they can't be themselves because it could hurt their draft stock, then that's something that they have to make a choice there, and it shouldn't be that way for them. It shouldn't be that way. Now, I mean, if y'all are fine with that, then are we fine with them asking if his mom's a prostitute? Like, is that fine to ask too?
I don't think that's fine to ask either. Like, I'm trying to figure out.
We didn't say that we were fine with them asking that question in the first place.
Yeah.
I'm just asking if it is.
Only thing that we said was that I'm pretty sure it's happened, and because a couple situations happened, you can't call. First of all, you're calling my team specifically because my team is the one that has a story come out, unluckily.
I mean, that's what your team did. Like, it's,
but I'm sure they're not the only team, and these aren't the only two athletes.
I'm not saying that, but
no, that's exactly what you said. Because that's exactly what you're portraying.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the Falcons are the only team that has it documented. It's documented that they did this.
Hey, maybe they were a team. Maybe they're a team of stand-up guys. You know, hey.
I'm not saying that they're not stand-up guys.
And again, it's not like they did like disowned it or anything. They literally said, "All right, we know this was wrong. This person really fucked up," and it took him a 3 years of good standing. He went to counseling. He went and volunteered in I don't know how to say it, like homophobe like shelters or whatever. He got counseling for it. Like, he did everything that was necessary to make sure that he knew that was insensitive and wrong, and he fixed it.
Yeah, I know that that's what he did, and that's what happened in the Falcons organization. For me, it's bigger than just the Falcons. It's an NFL issue because it's still happening. It's clearly still happening. Now this kid from LSU, he's one of the few to actually come out and say like this happened, but we shouldn't still be doing this. Like, at some point, like what is the NFL trying to gain from this? Do they not understand that they have gay fans? like there's gay people that watch the NFL? Like, do they think that if you're gay,
they obviously don't care whether they have gay fans or black fans. They care about
they care about the green. That's really what they care about. My thing is that
my question is, getting away from the Falcons thing, I would wonder, okay, now I know Dez Bryant was asked a question about his mother. I wonder who was it the Cowboy organization that asked him that?
It was the Dolphins.
It was the Dolphins. Okay.
Yeah. And I think that's why they passed on him. Like, what are you doing? Like, I just don't like. I know that they're asking these questions to see, like, okay, how does he react to someone quote unquote attacking him? You know what I'm saying? But I mean, if that's
why would you choose to attack somebody in that type of light? Like, I understand some people were trying to rationalize it. Some white people that I used to hang out with, they were trying to rationalize it. Okay, well, if his mother is a former crackhead prostitute, those people's words, not mine, maybe him getting the money wouldn't be a good idea because he doesn't have the proper support system. And we do know that when he did get the money, the Cowboys had a special security team system for him and stuff like that. They really invested a lot to ensure of his success. I can talk about what those questions are and how out of line they are. Those questions, the homophobic thing, I don't understand it. Like, it's not for me to understand, but I'm not going to sit here and act like the NFL doesn't have a problem with change. They don't care about social issues. They don't want to hear about gay issues or anything else. Whereas the NBA, you have people like Adam Silver. He goes to the LGBTQ celebrations and stuff like that. Now, I'm not trying to call him any type of way. He supports the different things and supports his players. The NFL, they don't care. They only care about the money. They don't care anything about black people. There'll probably never be a black owner, at least in my lifetime. It just is what it is. It's the billionaire white boys club.
And this is partly why a lot of people think at some point the NBA is going to catch up and surpass the NFL in popularity, at least in this country. But like, I don't want to stay on this too much longer, but if you're asking someone their sexual preference just to see what kind of reaction they get, to see, you know, what kind of poise they have, and if they're able to handle that or whatever that means, like, then is it okay to be like, hey, what would you think if I called you a nigger? Let me see what kind of reaction he has then. Like, at that, does that become fun? Like, where is the line in the NFL? And I feel like the NFL needs to really address this issue, because that's something that you can't do in any other workplace. And you just can't do that. Now, let's talk about what the Browns have been out here doing. Like, the Browns are out here trying to go for it all. Like, they traded for Tyrod Taylor. They traded for a cornerback from the Packers.
They traded for Darius. I think it was Darius Randall. They got Jarvis Landry. They got Tyrod Taylor, and they traded Danny Shelton away.
Now, for you, do you feel like the acquisition of Tyrod Taylor essentially means that the Browns are not going to pick a quarterback with the first overall pick?
They should, but I don't think they will, because, you know, people want job security more than they want to win. So
I feel like with them trading for Tyrod Taylor, I feel like they're going to get a quarterback with their fourth pick, because I feel like Tyrod Taylor.
I don't think you can risk that.
I mean, isn't this quarterback class is like 5 deep, isn't it? Like, there's five really good quarterbacks.
It's about 3.
Well, if you look at the draft order, the Colts aren't in the market for drafting a quarterback at 3. And the Giants, I mean, they're like, the Giants might pick a quarterback and then you're back on the clock. So you'll get the second best quarterback in the draft. Like, that's not a bad deal. Like, if you really,
but if that's the quarterback that you want, then like that fits you can't gamble that.
Do you think there's a quarterback that stands out, like that's like head and shoulders above all the other quarterbacks? Like, there's a good, like, for me, I don't feel like there's a clear number one guy that's head and shoulders better than everybody else in this draft class.
It's all fit. Everybody has their flaws and everybody has their strength, as usual, of every draft class.
Yeah, I think them getting Tyrod Taylor pretty much nailed down that they're taking Barkley with the first pick, and then they'll get whatever. I think it's a terrible idea, but I mean they're the Browns, so I mean they've been terrible for decades.
For me, I can only speak from what I know. If it was me, definitely wouldn't get a quarterback with the first or my number 4. I try to trade down, honestly, as much as I can. If I could drop
they don't need anything else that they cannot get later on in the draft.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, the only thing that you're looking at, like even with Barkley, I asked the same question. Okay, so if you pick him 1, to me, he has to be much better than Zeke. He has to be much better than Fournette. And then the other thing that you look at, even in last year's draft, you have guys like Hunt. You have guys like Kamara that went much later. So are you like, how good is Barkley going to be? And to me, Barkley, he's a great running back, but he's more of just a home run threat. I don't know about him on a, down to down basis.
His vision is kind of suspect sometimes.
Yeah,
he can't really run in between the tackle. If I could compare him to anybody, he's probably Tevin Coleman, but he's like a more like refined player than Tevin Coleman, if that makes sense.
And Tevin Coleman was a 3rd-round pick, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Coleman doesn't have like really good vision. It's gotten better as obviously because competing with Devontae Freeman kind of forces you to. But like he's a home run player. Like he gets started in a couple of places because he has gotten better, like with his zone reads and reading shit. But that's where I have him. So I don't even think taking running backs anywhere in the first like 15, like not 15, anywhere in the first like 10 picks of the draft is a good idea, ever.
I'm a fan of not taking a running back in the first round. Period. Like not at all. I feel like you can get a lot more value.
I think if you have everything
locked.
Later. Depending on like the Jaguars, they were the exception to the rule. Even though I did want them to take a quarterback because I'm not a fan of
because Blake Bortles.
I wanted them to take a quarterback. But if that is your like plan for your franchise is to have like a dominant running game, then sure, take it. Like what the Cowboys did. They're probably regretting not taking Ramsey, but
yes,
if that's what you want to do, then sure, do it. But otherwise, it's not worth it ever.
A great running back in the first round is not going to bring that much to the team if the offensive line isn't good, if your quarterback isn't good, if you don't have any good receivers, if you don't have a good defense that can hold a lead. You know what I'm saying? Like for the Browns to take Barkley number 1 overall, I'm not sure how their offensive line play is, but their quarterback play was pretty poor.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. They have one of the best lines in the league.
Yeah. So
once everybody gets healthy.
Yeah. So I'm for my money. If I know I have a good offensive line, I'm not going to spend that top pick on a running back when I can get a running back in the 2nd or 3rd round who's going to produce behind a great offensive line like Ezekiel Elliott did. Now, I'm not going to say that Ezekiel Elliott isn't special because he is a special player, but that Cowboys offensive line is great. And I feel like a lot of running backs could have got 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns running behind that line. Now, if they probably could have drafted, a Jalen Ramsey, beefed up that defense a little bit or got a better receiver and had a better team. But, they went for the more flashier player because that's what Jerry Jones is known to do. But I just don't see the value in taking a running back in the first round, especially with the number 1 overall pick, because running backs, their shelf life is incredibly short and they tend to get injured a lot.
There's only a couple of exceptions to the rule. And I will say, I'm a Jaguars fan, and we did take Fournette at number 4. And I was sort of happy about it, but honestly, even with hindsight being 2020, I wanted a quarterback.
I still don't like that pick. I still don't like it because he didn't, even with Fournette, even as big and as tough as he is, he didn't even last the whole season.
Yeah, he kept getting nicked up and hurt. But
even if he didn't survive the whole season, he was a major part of why they won. He allowed their offense to play he allowed their defense to play the way their offense would.
Yeah, I'm not saying he didn't bring any value to him. I'm just saying having a running back that high.
Now what hurts?
Can't
But
stay
what
healthy.
hurts is when you look at Fournette and then you look at where Hunt was taken, and you have to say, okay, well, you have to really look at the value. Now, the one player that I would say that within the last 15 years that was worth it to me would be Adrian Peterson, because he was super dynamic. But in today's game, he doesn't even work because he couldn't catch a lick out of the backfield. But yeah, that's like if I was the Browns, I'm happy with what they did to an extent because, of course, black coaches. I don't always want the guys to be just straight up trash. I mean, some of the moves, like to me, getting rid of Deshaun Kaiser, I'm kind of like, now I know you got a starting caliber cornerback in Randall, but I'm just like, dang, you spent the second round pick on this guy. You could have had Tyrod and continued to watch Kaiser grow because he has the size. He just needs to work on throwing a spiral, some mechanics, and probably some other nuances of the game. And you just hate to see that you've given that up. And then for them to get Tyrod for a third, I think it'd be crazy to draft a quarterback first or fourth. Like, you got a guy, let's just see how this goes. Get best available player and trade out of those picks. That's what I would do.
I feel like the GM of NFL teams and the scouting personnel are the most important people on the staff, and even their job is unscientific. Like, they only know so much. You can only do so much with the film that you have because it doesn't always translate to the NFL. People aren't always as good as their tape leads you to believe. But we'll go ahead and wrap it up. I will say that let me take back. I'll take back that the Falcons as an organization are homophobic, but I will say that the NFL, the culture of the NFL, allows homophobia to be there. The culture of the NFL. So we'll leave it at that. This is the Committee Podcast. We drop episodes every Monday. You can follow me at Marcus Sniffles on Twitter. Dolphins, what's your Twitter handle?
Of course, mine is Love Killer Trey. Also, shout out to, once again, at DBN Report for allowing us to link up and chop it up with Jalen here. And of course, anytime y'all need me, y'all can hit me up. Follow at committee_podcast on IG. The DMs are open.
All right. And our resident draft expert, Jalen, what's your Twitter information?
It's at Jalen Muhammad, JalenMuhammad.
Yeah, make sure y'all check.
Posted my Fortnite wins.
I'm deleting that off my PlayStation tonight. I'm getting rid of Fortnite. I can't with that game anymore. I can't. Call me trash.
You're trash.
I'll be trash, but I'm not playing that game no more. But make sure y'all
shout out to South Breeze 706 and El Chapa. They'll be returning next week. We'll definitely be docking their pay, especially El Chapstick. For DMing me at 3 a.m. about changing something on IG, you motherfucker.
Wow. Yeah, I'm pretty sure El Chapa got flown out this week. Like, she's across the pond, so I'm pretty sure like someone got in her DMs and decided to fly her out. So that's where she's at.
Get flown out, baby.
I mean, it's fly out season. Get them airplane emojis in your bio and get flown out, ladies. I'm pretty sure South Breeze is on the run from the police or something like that. So he's been real quiet on the internet. Oof.
We were supposed to record this. We were supposed to record this week, and he just disappeared.
Hey, the feds is watching, man. The feds is watching.
Hey, ain't nobody cared.
Yeah, but shout out to everybody that checks us out. Shout out to Gift Queen and It's Tribbles and Miss Slim Bella, who were on with us last week. We appreciate them stopping by.
Crafty Cakes, of course.
Yeah.
Chuck the Decoy. Everybody for keeping it real. Anyway, so this is Committee Podcast, and we're signing out.